Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The difference in pitch between two notes. A definite length of time marked off by two instants. The distance between things. A set containing all points, or all real numbers, between two given endpoints. The difference in pitch between two notes. A definite length of time marked off by two instants. Law, the cessation of cohabitation of man and wife, either by mutual agreement or under a court order. Coming apart. The distance between things. Fragile items require separation and cushioning. Sorting one thing from others. The separation of wheat from chaff. The act of dividing or disconnecting. The social act of separating or parting company. The separation of church and state. The space where a division or parting occurs. He hid in the separation between walls. The state of lacking unity. The termination of employment, by resignation or dismissal. Music, notation used by musicians. How much there is or how many there are of something that you can quantify. An adequate or large amount. He had a quantity of ammunition. The concept that something has a magnitude and can be represented in mathematical expressions by a constant or a variable. How much there is or how many there are of something that you can quantify. Add up in number or quantity. The bills amounted to $2,000. A quantity of money. The amount he had in cash was insufficient. A quantity obtained by the addition of a group of numbers. Develop into. This idea will never amount to anything. Be tantamount or equivalent to. Her action amounted to a rebellion. The relative magnitude of something with reference to a criterion. An adequate amount of food for 4 people. A statute in draft before it becomes law. How much there is or how many there are of something that you can quantify. A basis for comparison. A reference point against which other things can be evaluated. They set the measure for all subsequent work. Any maneuver made as part of progress toward a goal. The situation called for strong measures. Determine the measurements of something or somebody, take measurements of. The act or process of assigning numbers to phenomena according to a rule. The measurements were carefully done. Express as a number or measure or quantity. Prosody, the accent in a metrical foot of verse. Measuring instrument having a sequence of marks at regular intervals, used as a reference in making measurements. Musical notation for a repeating pattern of musical beats. Evaluate or estimate the nature, quality, ability, extent, or significance of. A container of some standard capacity that is used to obtain fixed amounts of a substance. Have certain dimensions. This table surfaces measures 20 inches by 36 inches. Go far ahead of. He outdistanced the other runners. Size of the gap between two places. The distance from New York to Chicago. The interval between 2 times. The distance from birth to death. Indifference by personal withdrawal. Emotional distance. A distant region. I could see it in the distance. A remote point in time. If that happens, it will be at some distance in the future. Keep at a distance. We have to distance ourselves from these events in order to continue living. The property created by the space between two objects or points. An unofficial association of people or groups. The smart set goes there. Get ready for a particular purpose or event. Set up an experiment. Several exercises intended to be done in series. He did 4 sets of the incline bench press. Representation consisting of the scenery and other properties used to identify the location of a dramatic production. The sets were meticulously authentic. A relatively permanent inclination to react in a particular way. The set of his mind was obvious. Disappear beyond the horizon. The sun sets early these days. Decide upon or fix definitely. Put or set, seeds, seedlings, or plants, into the ground. Establish as the highest level or best performance. Set a record. Urge to attack someone. Set down according to a plan. A carefully laid table with places set for 4 people. Usually followed by to, or for, on the point of or strongly disposed. We are set to go at any time. Converted to solid form, as concrete. Make ready or suitable or equip in advance for a particular purpose or for some use, event, etc. Determined or decided upon as by an authority. The time set for the launching. Equip with sails or masts. Insert a nail or screw below the surface, as into a countersink. Locate. The film is set in Africa. Fixed and unmoving. With eyes set in a fixed glassy stare. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Adapt for performance in a different way. Set this poem to music. Psychology, being temporarily ready to respond in a particular way. The subject set led them to solve problems the familiar way and to overlook the simpler solution. Become gelatinous. Situated in a particular spot or position. A house set on a hilltop. Fix conclusively or authoritatively. Set the rules. Evil Egyptian god with the head of a beast that has high square ears and a long snout, brother and murderer of Osiris. Arrange attractively. Alter or regulate so as to achieve accuracy or conform to a standard. Estimate. The process of becoming hard or solid by cooling or drying or crystallization. He tested the set of the glue. Bear fruit. Set in type. My book will be typeset nicely. A group of things of the same kind that belong together and are so used. A set of books. Any electronic equipment that receives or transmits radio or TV signals. The early sets ran on storage batteries. Apply or start. Set fire to a building. A unit of play in tennis or squash. They played 2 sets of tennis after dinner. Being below the horizon. The moon is set. Fix in a border. The goldsmith set the diamond. Give a fine, sharp edge to a knife or razor. Mathematics, an abstract collection of numbers or symbols. The set of prime numbers is infinite. Put into a certain state. Cause to be in a certain state. Set the house afire. Put into a position that will restore a normal state. Set a broken bone. Set to a certain position or cause to operate correctly. Set clocks or instruments. The act of putting something in position. He gave a final set to his hat. The descent of a heavenly body below the horizon. Before the set of sun. Coming next after the second and just before the fourth in position. The fielding position of the player on a baseball team who is stationed near the third of the bases in the infield, counting counterclockwise from home plate. He is playing third. One of three equal parts of a divisible whole. It contains approximately a third of the minimum daily requirement. The third from the lowest forward ratio gear in the gearbox of a motor vehicle. You shouldn't try to start in third gear. In the third place. Third, we must consider unemployment. The base that must be touched third by a base runner in baseball. He was cut down on a close play at third. Following the second position in an ordering or series. A distant third. The musical interval between one note and another 3 notes away from it. A simple harmony written in major thirds. In the fourth place. Fourthly, you must pay the rent on the first of the month. Coming next after the third and just before the fifth in position or time or degree or magnitude. One of 4 equal parts. Following the third position, number 4 in a countable series. The musical interval between one note and another 4 notes away from it. The musical interval between adjacent keys on a keyboard instrument. One part in 7 equal parts. Coming next after the sixth and just before the eighth in position. Position 7 in a countable series of things. The musical interval between one note and another 7 notes away from it. Coming next after the fifth and just before the seventh in position. One part in 6 equal parts. Position 6 in a countable series of things. The musical interval between one note and another 6 notes away from it. A musical interval of 2 semitones. A musical interval of 2 semitones. Half of a semitone. Half of a semitone. A quality of a given color that differs slightly from another color. The elastic tension of living muscles, arteries, etc. that facilitate response to stimuli. The general atmosphere of a place or situation and the effect that it has on people. A clergyman improved the tone of the meeting. A notation representing the pitch and duration of a musical sound. Give a healthy elasticity to. Let's tone our muscles. Music. The distinctive property of a complex sound, a voice or noise or musical sound. The muffled tones of the broken bell summoned them to meet. A musical interval of 2 semitones. The quality of a person's voice. He began in a conversational tone. Vary the pitch of one's speech. Utter monotonously and repetitively and rhythmically. A steady sound without overtones. They tested his hearing with pure tones of different frequencies. Change the color or tone of. Tone a negative. Change to a color image. Tone a photographic image. Linguistics. A pitch or change in pitch of the voice that serves to distinguish words in tonal languages. The Beijing dialect uses 4 tones. The quality of something, an act or a piece of writing, that reveals the attitudes and presuppositions of the author. The general tone of articles appearing in the newspapers is that the government should withdraw. Treat badly. She is always stepping on others to get ahead. Any maneuver made as part of progress toward a goal. The police took steps to reduce crime. A short distance. It's only a step to the drugstore. A sequence of foot movements that make up a particular dance. He taught them the waltz step. Relative position in a graded series. Always a step behind. A musical interval of 2 semitones. A mark of a foot or shoe on a surface. Measure distances by pacing. Step off 10 yards. The sound of a step of someone walking. He heard footsteps on the porch. Support consisting of a place to rest the foot while ascending or descending a stairway. He paused on the bottom step. Put down or press the foot. Place the foot. Step on the brake. The distance covered by a step. He stepped off 10 paces from the old tree and began to dig. A solid block joined to the beams in which the heel of a ship's mast or capstan is fixed. Cuz, a computer, to execute a single command. Furnish with steps. The architect wants to step the terrace. Move or proceed as if by steps into a new situation. She stepped into a life of luxury. Move with one's feet in a specific manner. Step lively. Place, a ship's mast, in its step. Shift or move by taking a step. Step back. The act of changing location by raising the foot and setting it down. He walked with unsteady steps. Walk a short distance to a specified place or in a specified manner. Step over to the blackboard. The musical interval between adjacent keys on a keyboard instrument. A musical interval of 8 tones. A feast day and the 7 days following it. A rhythmic group of 8 lines of verse. A musical interval of 8 tones. Coming next after the 4th and just before the 6th in position. 1 part in 5 equal parts. A quantity of liquor equal to 1/5 of a United States gallon. Position 5 in a countable series of things. He was 5th out of several hundred runners. The musical interval between one note and another 5 notes away from it. The occurrence of an abrupt, transient loss or impairment of consciousness, which is not subsequently remembered, sometimes with light twitching, fluttering eyelids, etc., common in petit mal epilepsy. Failure to be present. The state of being absent. He was surprised by the absence of any explanation. The time interval during which something or somebody is away. He visited during my absence. Computer science. The interval between the time data is requested by the system and the time the data is provided by the drive. Access time is the sum of seek time and rotational latency and command processing overhead. Tennis. A score consisting of winning a game when your opponent was serving. He was up 2 breaks in the second set. Breaking of hard tissue such as bone. The break seems to have been caused by a fall. Enter someone's virtual or real property in an unauthorized manner, usually with the intent to steal or commit a violent act. Be released or become known of news. Fail to agree with. Be in violation of, as of rules or patterns. An act of delaying or interrupting the continuity. It was presented without commercial breaks. Lessen in force or effect. Break a fall. An escape from jail. The breakout was carefully planned. Interrupt a continued activity. Force out or release suddenly and often violently something pent up. Break into tears. Any frame in which a bowler fails to make a strike or spare. The break in the 8th frame cost him the match. Go to pieces. Ruin completely. Act in disregard of laws, rules, contracts, or promises. Break a law. Become fractured. Break or crack on the surface only. Do a break dance. Kids were break dancing at the street corner. Prevent completion. Break off the negotiations. Become separated into pieces or fragments. Make known to the public information that was previously known only to a few people or that was meant to be kept a secret. Terminate. Break a lucky streak. Surpass in excellence. Break a record. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The act of breaking something. The breakage was unavoidable. Happen. Break down, literally or metaphorically. A pause from doing something, as work. We took a 10-minute break. Stop operating or functioning. Fracture a bone of. Reduce to bankruptcy. My daughter's fancy wedding is going to break me. Assign to a lower position. Reduce in rank. Geology. A crack in the Earth's crust resulting from the displacement of one side with respect to the other. Break a piece from a whole. Break a branch from a tree. Make submissive, obedient, or useful. The horse was tough to break. A time interval during which there is a temporary cessation of something. Move away or escape suddenly. Nobody can break out. This prison is high security. A personal or social separation, as between opposing factions. They hoped to avoid a break in relations. Some abrupt occurrence that interrupts an ongoing activity. There was a break in the action when a player was hurt. Destroy the completeness of a set of related items. The book dealer would not break the set. Cease an action temporarily. Let's break for lunch. An unexpected piece of good luck. He finally got his big break. An abrupt change in the tone or register of the voice, as at puberty or due to emotion. Then there was a break in her voice. A sudden dash. He made a break for the open door. Be broken in. If the new teacher won't break, we'll add some stress. Become punctured or penetrated. Cause the failure or ruin of. This play will either make or break the playwright. Cause to give up a habit. Change directions suddenly. Change suddenly from one tone quality or register to another. Come forth or begin from a state of latency. Come into being. Come to an end. Crack. Of the male voice in puberty. His voice is breaking, he should no longer sing in the choir. Curl over and fall apart in surf or foam, of waves. Destroy the integrity of, usually by force, cause to separate into pieces or fragments. Diminish or discontinue abruptly. Emerge from the surface of a body of water. Exchange for smaller units of money. I had to break a $100 bill just to buy the candy. Fall sharply. Find a flaw in. Break an alibi. Find the solution or key to. Break the code. Give up. Break cigarette smoking. Happen or take place. Things have been breaking pretty well for us in the past few months. Interrupt the flow of current in. Break a circuit. Invalidate by judicial action. Make a rupture in the ranks of the enemy or one's own by quitting or fleeing. Make the opening shot that scatters the balls. Pierce or penetrate. Render inoperable or ineffective. Scatter or part. Separate from a clinch, in boxing. The occurrence of breaking. The break in the dam threatened the valley. The opening shot that scatters the balls in billiards or pool. Undergo breaking. Vary or interrupt a uniformity or continuity. Weaken or destroy in spirit or body. An act of delaying or interrupting the continuity. A time interval during which there is a temporary cessation of something. Some abrupt occurrence that interrupts an ongoing activity. The telephone is an annoying interruption. Lock up or confine, in or as in a jail. Hang, back, or fall, behind, in movement, progress, development, etc. The time between one event, process, or period and another. The act of slowing down or falling behind. One of several thin slats of wood forming the sides of a barrel or bucket. Cover with lagging to prevent heat loss. Lag pipes. Throw or pitch at a mark, as with coins. The time that elapses between a stimulus and the response to it. Computer science. The time it takes for a specific block of data on a data track to rotate around to the read/write head. The state of being not yet evident or active.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.